Well, Michael, this budget says that the Canadian economy is outperforming expectations and avoiding a recession, that inflation and interest rates are slated to fall. So it's against this backdrop that the government says it remains on track when it comes to its three key fiscal objectives we heard in last fall's fiscal update. Let's go through those three right now. First, lowering this year's debt to GDP ratio compared to what was projected in the fall update. That 42% number is down nearly a full percentage point and projected to fall to 39% by 2029. A second objective, getting the deficit to GDP ratio below 1% by 2027. The government says it will get below 1% in 3 years and then fall to 0.6% by 2029. Objective number 3 is keeping last year's deficit at or below $40.1 billion. That number is now right at $40 billion. However, future deficit projections are going up when compared to last fall's update, averaging about $2 billion more annually over the next 5 years. So let's talk a bit more about the government's spending plans and how that factors into the fiscal balance. This budget adding more than $50 billion in proposed spending over 6 years, with key priority areas such as the cost of living, Indigenous programs, national defense, and housing. We've certainly had all of those announcements leading up to the budget. The government saying that it's focusing on fairness for millennials, for Gen Zers, and we got a bit more detail about how the money is going to be breaking down. There's $8.5 billion in this budget for housing. Now, only $1 billion of that is scheduled for this coming fiscal year. On the flip side, the government is planning to offset some of this spending with more than $20 billion in new tax revenue, mainly increases to the capital gains taxes that I know we're going to be focusing on quite a bit in our coverage. And finally, let's talk about what this budget says on the savings side. The government is planning to reduce the size of the public service by 5,000 people over the next few years. This is going to be done mainly through attrition, and this is going to represent about 1.5% of the federal workforce. Michael.